Alive. Here we are, Robin, with the
Fabulous.
Christina behind your shoulders. I already feel, curious about that kitchen. What's going on there?
Well, it's certainly true to my heart. I've been in love with Italy for as long as I can remember. I've been involved in my early days in business as well, looking at the Italian market as a critical market in the outerwear category. We've embraced it. I love it. I miss it dearly right now. It's been the longest I've been apart from my favorite country. So it's a journey that, yeah.
But where are you now?
I'm in my home in Caledon, which is a remote area, a rural area outside of Toronto, about 1 hour. So we have a lot more forest and trees than skyscrapers. It's a nice respite.
What's the COVID situation there?
We seem to be more escalated in concern than we are than it is really relating to the numbers. It's just my opinion, but we certainly have an amount that's consistent with France, perhaps, who are on the verge of reopening, and we're starting to shut down. So it's a interesting dynamic for sure, and it's difficult to understand the measures. I think we're all in the same boat. We've trying to find the balance for compassion and humanity, as well as to be able to address the problem and the serious nature of it. So we need to keep commerce alive. We need to keep people alive. We need to exist societally and function as well, and not just make it a massive incurrence of debt.
Absolutely. And how was managing worldwide business in this COVID scenario? I talked with so many people, so many entrepreneurs. Everyone got a different approach and recipe. What was your approach?
I think we were very fortunate. We looked at business differently for more than the last 9 months. We've been looking at the business-to-business trade show circuit, and aside from Pitti Uomo, which we embrace wholeheartedly, we've shortened that bandwidth as far as regional shows within the U.S. and Asia, because we identified that people were finding less value in those interactions. It was nice to get together and viva familia and reignite the relationships, but it wasn't really about business so much anymore. So we had started to transform the way we did business on the wholesale level to more of a digital presentation and be more generous in sharing our new concepts and designs, which takes an amount of trust and then recognition as well. So we were I think more prepared. We'd also started to change our footprint and our path forward as a corporation. We've always been significantly committed to community from a compassionate way. We've erred on the side of youth-driven initiatives to support those communities, but we've also looked at not just our backyard. We've always looked at the markets that we are fortunate enough to identify with, to have loyal consumers and ambassadors in, and we've reached out to those markets. And so when we had initiatives in place, one of the challenges was, can we weather the storm and still do all the things we wanted to do this year? The answer for us was we have no choice. We must do it. We dig down deeply. We kept our entire staff on board, of course, throughout this challenge. We rolled out all of our initiatives. It started last April. We gave away 100% of our online sales globally back to the communities in aid of the frontline workers. That was not an easy decision to make. It was something we did because we believed it was the right thing to do at a time when it was most needed.
And did you open also a new shop recently in Paris? Or
we did. Finally and recently, we opened our flagship European store in Paris. And this isn't a modular pop-up. I think if you've had the opportunity to see some of the images, you can see that we've heavily invested in this location, and it really is a spectacular place in a somewhat Renaissance area of Paris during the sort of the opportunities that presented after the stock exchange moved away, and there was this great space that people were embracing. So we feel extremely fortunate to have really now landed in Europe in a bigger way.
It's also, Robin, I think a great message. It's a great message of confidence in a company that decide to open, even during a period like that is so difficult, still deciding to say, no, we keep going, we open a new shop, and everyone are closing now, and you are going in the other direction.
Yeah, I'm glad you make that observation as well. And we didn't do it just as a symbolic movement forward. We did it because we know where our lifeblood exists in. Europe is an very important market, and France particularly has caught on to the technical integration in fashion in NOBIS, maybe ahead of some of the other European markets. We've been very, very well received in a relatively short period of time. But it's a community that means a lot to us. The European community in its own right, but certainly Paris particularly is a place that we've been fortunate to be received perhaps a little earlier than some of the other European markets.
Got it. Robin, I think I am a black belt of cold problems. If there is a competition, and someone say, all right, who has the biggest problems with colds? I am the one. And okay. By the way, I also recently interviewed, are you familiar with Wim Hof, the
Yes,
Iceman?
of course. Yes, yeah? Of course. So, yeah.
I've interviewed Wim Hof recently, and I think I started 1 year ago to do cold shower. So I got great benefits from it, and they're doing coffee behind you.
Yes, I think we did coffee. Yeah. Yes, sorry about that.
Yes, we can't stay without.
So the other lifeblood.
So it was very interesting because I started to change my relationship with cold after I started to do this cold shower every day, and I had tremendous benefits. And still the other day, I went to pick up one of my children at school, and I went there with this ski jacket that I use when I go to ski, which is ugly and irrelevant, because even if I put it on, it doesn't work, And so my wife always say, you choose utility over style, something like that, and I always feel bad. And so the other day I was talking, and I thought, gosh, I really need something cool and protective. So when I was checking your website to prepare the interview, I thought, gosh, this is what I want. It's stylish, and it looks fantastic. So this is I will definitely give it a try. But a problem that I saw often during these years is that you couldn't really marry very well a good stylish protective jacket. Usually are very bad, when you watch a movie and someone look like a penguin, and it's protected, but it's horrible, So this is, but you found the recipe. How you did it?
Yeah, it was really refusing to just accept where the industry had gone, and to conceive that outerwear jackets were simply an element of personal style, and they no longer performed and provided the essential protection from the elements that they were created to do. I mean, it's been a long time since cavemen and troglodytes were throwing fur on their back to keep warm, but they didn't ignore the fact, or it wasn't lost on them, elements were required. So when we try to reinvent the world, and to be fair, today we hear a lot about technical fashion and function. It seems to be the nomenclature of our industry. However, the reality back then, when we launched and pioneered really the marriage of function and fashion by identifying that no longer were the outdoor category folks just happy enough, looking very pigeonholed in that environment, but having the technical superiority to be comfortable and safe. They kind of moved the apex a little bit more to center. And as well, fashion consumers were not also comfortable living with fashion is painful anymore. They wanted more, and deservingly so. They expected to get functional technology integrated into their progressive fashion pieces. And we're not runway couture, but we are a pretty progressive fashion brand for our category. And we wanted to do that so that we created a longer lifespan of our products as well. We wanted to keep them relevant from an appearance side. They're certainly relevant from a functional side, and we made them adaptive both to climate and personal appearance. Most of the jackets, if they have fur, have removable fur. On all of our jackets, they have removable hoods in many cases. So you can really style the jacket so it fits into the season that you're requiring its protection and appearance from.
And I like the shield also. I think the shield is great. Who did invent the logo and then the branding?
Yeah, it was a great team effort for sure. The shield was important to me, particularly because I wanted that omnipotent sort of NOBIS protectorate over top of you. So that shield lays in the background, but it's not just a frame. It's a symbolic statement to the pillars of our brand to never, ever give up on functionality as we move forward in the fashion, along the fashion community and the ladder. I believe that, it means you're protected, you're safe. It also is understated from a branding standpoint. We aren't loud and proud, and we identify that our consumer has a strong sense of personal style. They're not looking to be inclusive by a label or badge that they're wearing. They are inclusive because they present themselves in the way they're comfortable presenting themselves. And ironically, with that stuff, they're also comfortably inside while they're wearing our product.
Yeah. But is it true, Robin, or is it a legend that you tested on yourself and you have like a super fast snowmobile or something like that? Is it just legend and a marketing stunt, or is it true?
It's my life, Marco. Thank you for caring as much to look so deeply into our brand. I know there's a lot of stories around the internet. They're sadly true. I am one of those people that likes to go very fast, and winter or summer is not a problem for me. Part of my inspiration to build a performance-driven fashion apparel was the fact that I didn't want to have to choose between what I wore on my snowmobile, what I wear ice fishing, or what I walk into a restaurant with, because I enjoy fine dining. I appreciate Italian wine. Super Tuscans are amongst my favorites. The reality is I was dumbfounded by why we couldn't get everything in one package. And I go back to when we first launched our program into the fashion community. I walked into doors that I had a long-standing relationship in my previous efforts with, and I walked in and they're like, my consumers don't understand technology or function. I said, you don't have to do it in numbers and industry speak. You just have to give them a jacket that they like when they try it on. They will be comfortable when they come back to you, and they may buy another one instead of coming back and complaining that they soaked their mohair sweater because the jacket they bought off you that they thought they could conquer the world in wasn't adequate to protect them from the very elements they exist in. Yeah.
It's very interesting. Also because I think well, if you see it now, it's clear that it's a winner. But when you launch a new company, you never know. Will the market be there? If it's priced more than your competitor, the market will be ready to buy, yes or no? I mean, there are so many questions. So I wanted to go back for a second when you launched the company, because yes. I know that you had a long experience in the sector. Sure. But launching your own company is always is a different thing. So when you decided to create NOBIS, and what were the first steps that you took to build the company at the very beginning?
I really needed to, and we needed to, with Kevin O'Young, the co-founder and the president of our company. I needed to exceed the expectations of the premium outerwear consumers. I lost a lot of sleep in my previous life in the brand world by coming up with a brand that really gave the impression that you could really conquer the world, that it was all that you needed to conquer cold weather and transitional seasonal elements. And I knew that there was a large percentage of my former consumers that were a little disenchanted with the fact that, they had expensive dry cleaning bills, that they weren't waterproof and things of that nature. And quite frankly, it ate at my soul. So the most important thing we did when we ignited this brand, conceptually, was to build a credo, a statement. And again, this is my sleep at night brand. There's no smoke and mirrors related to this. We are committed to exceeding consumer expectation. The things we've seen just out of this year in this horrible pandemic, where consumers are identifying with the fact that you just wash your jacket at home. It's not a dry cleaning jacket. There's no, and all of a sudden in this world, in this age, even taking stuff to the dry cleaner is a scary journey, right? You don't even want to do it. You want to take it back. Now you go out, and our jacket, you mentioned the shield, our jacket has become exactly that. And for folks who have been in serious lockdowns, who get to go out once a week or once every 3 or 4 days, they'll use that jacket to protect them, not just from the elements, but from all aspects of it. they come home and they throw it in the washing machine, and a few hours later it's ready to go again. And that was something that I invested heavily in. Our products cost 2 to 3 times more to produce than the competitive landscape that we're aligned with. But we deliver a product that's extraordinarily better ROI to that premium outerwear consumer. I mean, longevity, quality, comfort, fit, and obviously appearance. If you don't love it, you're not buying it. But
Sure.
to imagine that you can really speak to both the extreme outdoor and extreme fashion consumer with one product is really a tribute to the success of the team that has committed their lives and passions to being better and not accepting that it was okay to fail in categories. Oh, that zipper leaks. Oh, those buttons. Oh, well, they'll be cold, but they look good. I mean, I have never been able to live with that. And perhaps because my background is outdoor, fishing, remote, and living in Canada doesn't necessarily mean cold if you live in Vancouver. Toronto is far south, but I love the North. I love the silence, the wondrous splendor of nature, but I really enjoy fine food and dining and good company and friendship. So yeah, it's a paradox that I have to address. And so I guess it's really a reflection of, I guess if people relate to the kind of person I am, and we call them urban adventurers, and we see great marketing campaigns all over the globe now in our category, but really, I don't want to just talk the talk. I want to make it real. I want people to feel safe and warm and comfortable and look great while they're doing it.
Yeah, not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. Like
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And once you decided with your co-founder to follow this path and no compromises or not compromising on quality, and what was at the very beginning the most important things that you did? It was the team, it was the niche that you follow, the technology. What was the formula that you used to start the company in the right way?
Sure, and it was tricky. I mean, you can't just spend more on a product and bring it to market in a competitive way. You have to align yourself with excellence, really surround yourself by people that are better than you in every category where possible, and really try not to get left behind. One of the biggest challenges we had, and really drew on the strength of Kevin O'Young's background in the finance stuff, was to create a business model that could be profitable and successful, although not grossly profitable, that really allowed you to spend 2 to 3 times more on the product, but not put that tax onto the consumer. So we generally, depending on the brands you're comparing us to, we're in around that same price point. We're maybe 10 to 15% more, but given the takeaway value and the ROI, it's an extraordinary accomplishment. So I really hail. I did an interview at the New York Stock Exchange for the Cheddar TV folks, and they said, what is the most significant commitment? I said, the takeaway for the consumer. This isn't about just a patch on your arm or a brand. This is experiential, and it will redefine the way you approach your purchases going forward. And what I love now, and to me, I whether it's ever put upon us or not, I think we've accomplished something in changing not just the narrative, our industry and our category, but putting a call to action to other brands to not just take advantage of those consumers, not just to load them up with what we call the educated consumerism and the speak. You give them a couple of selling points, they make that a comparative, and if you have that, you're okay or not. But this is all encompassing: windproof, waterproof, breathable. You have to have that environment that will let moisture out and not let moisture in. You need that so you don't perspire inside. We use 100% Canadian down in all of our production. It's product compared to the industry standard. We do it because it's an aggressive down that has a nice fill power. It's very resilient. We also love the fact that it's sourced sustainably, that there's veterinarians involved with the process. Every decision we've made along the way was not without conscious thought of the implication, and we feel really good about it. We have lots to learn. We're not saying we're the best in the industry, but I do believe we offer the best product for today's consumer.
When you started the company, Robin, and just stay 1 second there, a little bit more for our entrepreneurs watching the video. When did you understand that the product was working? There was like a pivotal moment, a very specific moment that you realized, yes, the market is there, and let's go now all in. And also was curious to know, where did you start? It was only Canada? It was immediately international? How was the strategy at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was a good one. We certainly, I've never done anything locally. I've never really looked at the global market in a singular way. I always looked at it as an opportunity to share. And we looked at markets in Scandinavia as the most winter sensitive. We looked at coastal markets that had a lot of moisture element and damp cold, as we know. If you go to CPH in Copenhagen or some of these places in Russia, there's different natures of our cold. Italy is a great example. When it gets cold, because of the oceans, it's very damp and chilling. So we also know that Italy ultimately, defines outerwear is the feather you put in your cap. In Italy, it's a statement. It's like a Rolex watch. You have to embrace that, or you've missed the whole point. But we certainly looked at Canada and identified with the nature of the cold weather here. U.S. markets, the Asian markets, who are very who have found winter, in the last 10 or 20 years become colder, where the rest of us have found it warmer. And I'm not expressly speaking about a global warming, but we think that there's more variation and change in that. And so we went after all those markets really as quickly as we could, to put a product together that resonated with the consumer, and to that first recognition of the success. I guess, now no longer active retailer Searles in New York City, I approached them, and the proprietor at the time said, my customers don't understand technology and fashion and whatever. So I think he took 4 jackets, literally that bad. And, I've been used to writing hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars of orders. And I'm like, 4 jackets, yeah, I was like, wow, I'm really, really starting over. I think that's when it impacted me, that the journey is high, and I have packs on my back to get up the mountain as well. So, but then it resonated with that consumer. All of a sudden, they called out features and elements, not just the quality and the look and the style, but they were like, "Wow, I'm going for a walk in the rain in Central Park, and that's okay now. That's not prohibitive in what I want to do and when I want to do that." So we got these little signs that people were getting it. But I think the best recognition we got was prior to entering the South Korean market. The chat, and it's a market where social media is on steroids. People move information around vastly faster than anywhere else I know of on the planet. And we're getting all these social media chats about NOBIS. And I say this humbly and flatteringly, and I make no comparison to other brands specifically based on that, but they were calling us the Rolls Royce of jackets, the technical Montclair. Things of that were coming through these speaks and social chats, and they were welcoming our product before it even existed in that market. So when we did enter, it was with a storm. It was fantastic. Wow. And I guess I did my happy dance then. It was like, yes, this is not 4 jackets anymore. These people understand. And I think I said, I'm not a me person, but I felt we made the right decision. We invested in the change and the difference, and it's way easier to improve things than it is to do it the first time. And I think we're hard at work doing both.
What about the technology side? Because if I go to check your website, for instance, my perception is, wow, there is a lot of technology there. It's not only a cool design and a couple of good ingredients. There is a lot of research. How did you organize all the research and technology side?
Did a lot of field testing. I had in the past done so as well. I looked at products that I thought were, the best international components. When we look at our bill of materials, they're sourced globally, we're produced globally. I really try to define the performance elements that work. So a lot of field testing as usual, and living my life as I do is a test for some markets. But we put it on the ground. We had folks try it. We obviously did all the lab and backstory testing. But and as good as that is, and as critical and important as it is, I really wanted to hear the feedback from the folks in Sweden and Denmark and Norway and Finland and Russia. We put it up in Vladivostok, for instance, for extreme dry cold, minus 50s. But we also transitioned it and had the product in Italy and in France, in South Korea, and we looked at for producing products that really was for today's winters wherever you find yourself in them. And so we couldn't just make, it's really easy to make the best jacket in the world. What's not easy is to make it adaptable to many climates. So within our collection, which is now pretty vast, we have different downloads. We have a down density indicator that gives you a sense of how much down is in there so that you can apply that to your own sense of personal warmth. Everybody generates heat differently. And as you said, you're the black belt of cold weather. Yeah. And you may be totally comfortable in a jacket that I couldn't do up in winter, in 30 below. And that's the unique thing about people. So it's very difficult to accurately and safely put a cold designation on a pair of products. We've all experienced products that say minus a billion, minus 40, minus 50, and you're out in a -6 day and you're chilled. Well, it speaks to your own sense of personal, your ability to generate warmth. It also speaks to a lack of a standard in the industry. And so we always say that this is our heavy down jacket. This is mid. We have extreme, and the jackets that I've slept on frozen lakes in remote parts of Canada is not for everybody. But it's funny, those jackets as well, in markets that aren't used to extreme cold weather, like perhaps Canada and some others are, when it gets cold, a little cold, people need tremendous increase in their warmth value. So a jacket that I couldn't wear in -20 it may keep someone comfortable in Italy in -2 or 3 on a slushy day in Florence. It's incredible.
It's interesting. And from a technology point of view, Robin, is there any new material that has been developed, or what are the trends in the material used for this kind of jackets?
Yeah, and when you use a natural insulation component like down, you don't have to be, and no insult on brands that are embracing in technology. I find some things a little gimmicky. The truth about a down jacket is, if it's made properly, if the lining breathes into you, you create a warm air environment. So your biggest concern is actually not generating more heat, it's letting that heat out of the jacket.
Right.
And so we're looking at thermoreactive pit zip, so they'll just open up. We're engaged in technologies to try and produce synthetic fur that will actually insulate and protect your face as a snorkel hood from those outside elements. We're hard at work trying to create radioactive safe pocketing so you can put your cell phone out. We really think that we've nailed the jacket from an insulation and warmth and comfort level, the waterproof, windproof. We always try to improve. We're trying to make a case for creating, really marrying technology in the membrane technology, and these guys are doing an incredible job creating even more breathability while they're still waterproof, and really marrying those with organic and traditional insulation components and things that stand the test of time. And I think that has become a more recognized approach, because we're seeing things like down, which are, in our case, our down is exclusively a byproduct of the poultry business. People consume ducks, and the byproduct is down, so that's how we get our down. There's no unethical harvesting, there's nothing like that. So we're utilizing resources that are available to us, and otherwise they'd just be buried or discarded. So to really remember who we are and the journey we came from, but also have our eyes dead set on the future to try and continue to improve the breathability of our jackets, performance elements, stretch fabrics. It's paramount. We have dedicated research folks at the company. We have an amazing design team and brand marketing folks. I just feel absolutely privileged to be working alongside these guys.
Got it. And what about the marketing side of the business? Because when you think about like extreme weather, the idea of a testimonial, I don't know, is Bear Grylls, or I don't know, like extreme sport people, adventure. But I saw you doing a capsule with a famous NBA basketball player, for instance, which is a uncommon choice. Can you elaborate on that?
I do. And again, the duality of the product that we offer, if you ask people what they need out of a winter jacket, as one example, you might often hear -40. I need this -40. If you then ask them how often they've experienced -40, and do they plan to experience -40, I would bet you it's less than 0.1 of 1% of the people that you'd engage in. So really it's about building a product that works in the city that you can go anywhere with. So to align ourselves as an outdoor extremist, I mean, my team is at me all the time to showcase my pursuits in the northern elements. And I said, as a brand, that's our weekend getaway. That's not who our core value represents. Despite the product's ability to perform in those markets, that's more like smoke and mirrors. You put it on a guy that does crazy things and spends days out in the forest or on the lake, as I'm known to do. It's not resonating to me in a genuine way with today's consumers. Our consumers are affluent. They've got a strong sense, I know I said it earlier, but a personal style. They know what they want to feel. And they also want to take off on a Friday night with reckless abandon and go up north or go to the ski lodge or go snowmobiling. And so we really look at basketball as I think in sport outside of football, European football, as the most driven lifestyle category. Their players are certainly affluent. I mean, contracts are hundreds of millions of dollars over a few years, not unlike the football players. Yet these guys present with a sense of style. They're all dialed into their own personal brands. And so we felt that it was a really true choice to who we are as a company, that we're focused on style but performance. And when you look at athletic performance and style, I really felt the DNA and the synergies were in place for this relationship with Serge.
When you see, Robin, these basketball players going to the press conference or coming for a match, it looks like a fashion, walking. I mean, they are all beautiful and dressed in incredible way with stylists deciding. It's really incredible.
Yeah, I like to say that it looks more like a fashion runway than a sports hallway. The old days where you come out sweaty with a towel over your head and wiping the sweat off your brow and having the conversations, you could see the reporters moving away because obviously they were. And now it looks like everything looks like a Louis Vuitton or such commercial. It's incredible, and good for them, but I think we might consider paying our doctors and folks a little more than we do, because they commit all the time. But good for those guys, and they've worked hard and they've been very fortunate. I believe there's only 450 basketball players playing at the professional level, so it's a pretty unique talent to play at that level and be amongst that select few. So obviously they're going to be rewarded, and we like the lifestyle, we like the messaging. They're also good citizens, and that's what we've was our takeaway and our approach to this relationship.
Yeah. But what about social media? How did social media changed the way your company communicate? How important it is? Do you work with influencers or not?
Sure. I mean, influencers, and we call them the non-influencers now, but people that really resonate in community, and not somebody that's a follower collector. And again, no disrespect to anybody.
Robin. Sorry, Robin. Did you say non-influencers?
That's correct. Yeah. So, yeah.
You reminded me of the other night. My wife took this wine, and I said, "Is this Prosecco?" And she said, "No, it's No Secco. It's a new
new brand." Yeah.
What is No Secco? So
that's perfect. Yeah,
I like that.
And that probably is tapping into exactly what we're saying. People that, not by design, but by result of who they are influencing people, not as your job or your thing you do, but within the scope of who you are. Your brand is recognized before, in some cases, they recognize it themselves. So we really look at people, and it could be the couple that are both doctors in the community and everybody looks up to them, and they really resonate because they generate respect based on the core values, their moral fiber, their personal style and taste. These are people that do good things, and so we don't pick anybody by glamour and numbers. We pick about people that are active in community and really make a difference, and we're proud to align with them. And in all the collaborations we've done, we did the Paris Saint-Germain jacket collaboration. It was easy to define the commitment to excellence by that club that is one of the few clubs in the football category that has respect from a broader range of fan base than just their local backyard. We know that football is very feudal and very regional and very competitive, and it's wonderful to see the fans' passion and energy. But I think most fans of football can look back and say PSG has a certain elegance to it, and they've got a commitment to excellence. And we really felt that defined who we aspired to be as a company, and we had that relationship. We had another collab with an opportunity to do it with the BMW Motors, and instead of focusing on BMW, we partnered with the M series because it was really like a shared commitment to innovation and engineered lifestyle. And we felt as a jacket company, that's what we shared value. So we are flattered with opportunities to collab people, and the more you do, the more opportunities you get. But we really we with a fine tooth comb go through the DNA of the potential partners, and we have to make sense of it. Again, back to that sleep at night formula. This is my sleep at night brand. We do things to the best of our ability. We constantly strive to improve, and we have to keep relevant, because I'm challenged day and night by the fact that it's easier to make something better than it is to create it in the first place. And so we strive to continue to make it better and better.
Does it happen sometimes, Robin, that mega celebrity, I don't know, Justin Bieber, maybe he just buy your jacket, post a picture of himself with the jacket, and you see a crazy amount of traffic and say, what happened? And maybe it was because of that, or it's just dreams and it's only if you have a commercial relationship that big celebrities activate.
Yeah, and not Justin Bieber, who I'm a big fan of, but not him specifically. But we've been very flattered with A-list celebrities wearing the product. I don't think it resonates the way it used to. I remember back with my former organization, we did a particular motion picture movie, and it created a great buzz, and it had immediate obvious effects on sales and brand popularity. I think now that the brands are so action and activated in that space, and they're always reaching to be the next first best talent, and trying to align with sort of, again, more like influencers instead of non-influencers, that it doesn't resonate the same way with consumers. We've been flattered. Vin Diesel came in and at the NBA All-Star game in Toronto, and he had been working on a film set in Toronto, and we were fortunate to provide, because we worked closely with the costume and film folks, to provide some jackets to set. He came out and put his shoulder down on the camera and did one of these for our logo and brand, and I mean, that was incredibly generous of him. And yeah, but I think it was more personal gratification, and certainly there was a surge of response, but it doesn't build brands anymore. Brands are built by starting from a foundation of integrity to commitment to community, a long vision for the journey ahead, and to really put into actions your thoughts and your words. So and our alignments with folks like Giacomo Giannotti from Dr. DeLuca of Grey's Anatomy. He is one of the most humanitarian people I know, a philanthropist beyond words. He is a caring, giving person. He knows that he's fortunate to have the opportunities he's had, but we made him the ambassador for our No Cold Shoulder initiative, which was a global jacket drive. There's another initiative and an example that our team came in like, we know it's not a good year to do it. I said, it's the only year to do it. It's the best year in my history on this planet to do it. There are more people in need this year in the world, even compared to wartime. So we found a way again to just deliver the assets, complimentary headwear, jacket bags so they can seal them and donate them, and all biodegradable. And we're really starting to see it. We've extended it. It was supposed to be 1 month, but because of the lockdowns, we decided to extend it till the end of December as well. And I just got pictures today from one of my favorite shops in Leeds, England, Accent Clothiers, and they have a pile of jackets. And another shop, which is Union 22 in Liverpool, bags of the jackets piling up. They're like, this is awesome. Our folks need it, And again, that speaks to our commitment to community, not Toronto, Canada, but the global community that we exist in. And we're so privileged to have the support from ambassadors around the world. It's really fortunate. Fortunate,
yeah, it is fantastic. And how do you keep an eye, Robin, on a global organization? This is always I struggle to understand. How can you supervise everything that is going on in countries that are so different moments, lockdown there, this is open, different culture. How do you keep everything together?
Yeah, I think you have to start by not deceiving yourself that you don't know more than other people about markets that you're not in every day. Pre-COVID, I spent 7 months a year traveling to every market. I tried to visit
Right.
every store every 2 years, hands-on. But we decided to align ourselves internally with an amazing brand and marketing team. Julia Gerard are beyond committed and passionate, and we made them the hub for our global PR agencies. And so we feed information, we take it back, we look at that. We have international distributorships, agents in some markets where we have the ear on the ground, and we hear from them daily, sometimes multiple times a day. We know about events. We try and look at, measure the happenings in Paris and compare it to Switzerland in some cities, and really in the Netherlands, and try and really create that concerted message of our brand while still respecting the nuances and individualities of those given communities. So we have an incredibly dedicated team that is ear on the ground. That communication now more than ever has become paramount, and we don't pretend to know those markets. We rely on our assets on the ground to deliver the relevant and current information so that we can adapt quickly when changes are necessary.
Got it. A final point. I was curious about the financing side of let's say, fashion brands, clothing brands. I've been interviewing a lot of entrepreneurs or CEOs. I've interviewed Missoni, Trussardi, Remo Ruffini, Moncler, who did, I think, $1 billion acquisition recently, Golden Goose, and all of these brands now, these made in Italy or Italian brands or a hybrid, they got venture funds, basically. I saw venture funds investing in the brand and try to scale like that. But what's your positioning there, comparing with all of these fashion brands, clothing brands? What's your vision for the next period?
Yeah, we certainly have been flattered by knocks on our door from folks that would like to get in at some level. We speak to everyone. You're richer by knowledge, so we strategically talk to them. We're fortunate that we've had a very stable business plan. It wasn't lofted. It's not about spikes. It's about a slow escalation and building process. So to date, we haven't needed to further those conversations or consider actioning them. We look at the China entry in the next, hopefully in 21, as with a partner. Potential joint venture is something we're considering. But for the market and the place we're in right now, we're in a good position. Of course, there's opportunities that come forward that could change who we are in a dynamic, and if it allowed for 100 retail doors in Europe and so forth, there's aspects. So you never refuse a call. You always share vision and aspiration. And again, we've been very fortunate, and I hope that continues. These times have been challenging. COVID has been very difficult, and the disconnect from the importance of business and entrepreneurial businesses has not been lost on us. And we have to do things even more on our own than ever before. We haven't felt a lot of support from the bureaucracies and so forth. We do, again, steadfastly commit to the well-being of the citizens of all the communities we exist in. But, we're looking for a balance, I guess.
Yeah. Well, a question from Guglielmo from Facebook. Guglielmo is asking, the collections are the same in all countries, or some models are not presented in some countries? And I would add on this, what's the role of your e-commerce and the shops? Do they have the same products or different?
Yeah. Well, in markets like Europe, the prices is standardizing, and for sure we offer special makeups in markets to really, in some markets like South Korea, where it's such a boutique, fashion forward, but technically demanding market, we test new styles. We work closely again with our distributors, where they see and feel that, a style, they'll see something, but they want a modification to it, a variation. And certainly we're encouraged by bringing those styles to the market. They're well received and tested, and we'll hold them there for a year or two, and then we'll roll them out into different marketplaces. Paris is another example where we really cater to that market and offer usually 2 to 4 special makeups, and they're usually shared with Switzerland and Netherlands, but keeping it tight, or in our branded stores that exist in Toronto and now Paris. The e-com drives the same thing, respects the pricing policy. We're not a super high margin company, so it's important for us that the consumer isn't given the impression that there's a ton of margin in place that can be taken away in a sale and then put back on. Our price structures are very fair when you do it from an analytic standpoint, where you look at the cost of goods to produce them. We bring our product to market very efficiently.
And what's the role of e-commerce? Did e-commerce grew during this pandemic? How?
Sure. Yeah, I think that it grew in multiple platforms. We've been allowed in most cases during shutdowns to allow curbside pickup and so forth. So really creating an omni-channel for our stores and our warehouses to really provide, as in the best interest of all retailers and brand stakeholders, the broadest access to the full product range, whether it's in the back of the warehouse or in the front of the store, to showcase the availability to consumers who are demanding a particular product is our responsibility. And we have to make it easier and easier for them to achieve that product. It's not lost to me as well that there's been attrition by retailers, by brands. We've seen some acquisitions that weren't just strategic, but were a bit predatory, and reinventing the wheel in America, for example, with the giant retail conglomerates. It's a whole new landscape out there. And so direct to consumer really gives us the consistency and representation of the NOBIS brand. And as well, pop-up locations is not something we're really motivated to roll out everywhere, but to have key strategic, true flagship presences in some key markets around the world, I think will help stabilize consumer perception, because we don't want to be included in a failure with a large retail store, multinational, who just all of a sudden dies, and the recognition is they died and these are the brands they carried. Right. Our foot has to be firmly planted on the ground. We've built a solid foundation for this company, and we're prepared for the long haul.
I have a very stupid question, Robin, about e-commerce and size. My nightmare would be the right size. I remember I had a friend, and she had this lingerie company, and for the bras, they had, I don't know, 40 different combinations of size and refunds. It was a nightmare. I thought I would never ever do anything with commerce and size. So I wonder if I buy a jacket online, how do you work on the size? There are these 3D simulators. I mean, how do you deal with that? Maybe it's a stupid question. I don't know.
Well, you just gave me a big wake-up call. To start, I'd like to say I am so glad I'm not in the bra business. To create the fit and form and function requirements, I don't know where you'd begin. If you couldn't digitize, I don't know how you would manufacture results. So fortunately, we're in the jacket business, and we create a full measuring tool. We allow for sizing for every style and every size, so that people can get the exact proportions they need. And there's a lot less measurements with chest, waist, arm length, and so forth. So our team, David, has worked really hard in producing, who's our director of e-com, has worked really hard in producing a tool. And it's two parts to that story. It's not, it's a tremendous waste to send out 4 jackets and have 3 come back and back forth. It's not a sustainably, environmentally friendly process. It's not a financially viable solution. So the efficiencies that we can put into that process are truly important from an impact on the environment and the planet, but also for consumer satisfaction. It's to send something back and wait for it again. So the better information we can give, the better understanding and transparency, I think it smooths out the process, and it really speaks to the efforts we're making to really appease consumer demand in that category. E-com is here to stay. There's no doubt about it. If you've been lost in it, if you think it's your windfall, I'm not sure that that's necessarily balanced, but I think the balance between bricks and mortar, flagship, integral partners at the retail multi-brand level, and brands access, a commitment to accessing the goods to the broader consumer are part of a bigger picture and bigger puzzle.
Robin, to conclude, I have a very final curiosity. I'm always curious about books and television series. Did you watch any good Netflix series, or have you read any interesting book for entrepreneurs in this period?
I really read current more than, I find books, although they're amazing, they're usually a synopsis of the year in the past with a little projection of focus. I try and keep my reading to current and cutting edge and forward moving thinking. There's a lot of information going on in my head and our team's heads, and I really want to continue to be the best. And I draw on the wisdom of the past for sure. I may be one of those veterans in the industry that can reflect his past forward, and I value people's opinion, but I'd like to hear more about their future vision for things than I do about their past experiences by nature. So I don't spend a lot of time watching TV, but there have been a few shows that I've watched with good enthusiasm, and my wife usually makes me find the time to sit down on the couch and watch one of her Netflix series. I think the last one we engaged in was pretty bizarre, called Ozark, and I'm sure it's
fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Crazy movie, and it's probably been run 3 times. I'm usually 2 years behind in that, but it was something that was gripping. It was energy, it was passion, it was curious, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I felt when I watched Ozark that it's like being an entrepreneur, because every day he has huge problems to solve, and he always kind of cool. All right, the Mexican cartel is trying to kill me, and they just stole 3 million from me, and this girl is cheating. All right, now I go next. And you have to keep going.
I felt the same way. I thought he was the ultimate entrepreneur against all adversity possible.
Crazy. Final thing, Robin. We just talked. We just spoke about jackets, but do you have also different things like hats or?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Boots? This is a personal question, because boots. My wife forced me to buy boots, and I bought these very hot boots. They are so bad. They are so ugly, and I am embarrassed every time I wear them. But they are hot, So all right, they're warm.
Yeah, we have and I'm sitting here thinking we haven't given enough credit to our incredible design team. Our senior design director, Michael Kerr, who's been with us, I think, for about 1.5 years, but it feels like forever, has really redefined who we are. We've always offered accessories and elements that really complement the jackets, and at one time disproportionately so. Now we've really honed it in. We've created a really luxury line of accessories that really work well with the jackets, and they're not dedicated to any one piece, but they flow through our collection. Headwear, accessory, vest systems that go over top of your jacket that are uber cool, that are featured in the Serge Ibaka collab with us, that will be reflected in the 21 collection. So Mike's redefined the pillars of the brand that are going to guide us. Navigator and Nomad really speaks to the Nomad, a more youthful, cleaner styling, a little technical, geary, but still performance-driven, fashion-driven. And then our Navigator, which is also considered maybe more luxe and widely received positively. So we've really defined ourselves with Michael's help for the first time in the best way possible, and his commitment and the team's commitment to redefining our brand, whether it be at the retail presence side, in the build outs, in the product itself. It's really been an incredible journey to be a part of and to watch these guys work. They love what they do, and we're so fortunate to have this team of excellence around us.
Fantastic, Robin. Thank you so much. It was such a big pleasure to have this chat with you. Next time, let's meet in Brighton, but it's 4 or 5 degrees, so it's very cold. I don't know if you can handle this, but I'll buy
do my best
to do it.
I'm sure. I think I recall something called cider in Brighton that is very warming for the blood.
Great, Robin. Thank you so much. Good luck for
Marco,
everything.
my absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.